even and it is a once-a-month meeting where we focus on personal and professional development. Welcome you to join us. You're really missing out on the most important and most valuable things to be here in person and to make connections with the other local business owners and entrepreneurs here today. Our speaker today is highly effective habits of high-performing entrepreneurs, and the speaker is Seema Bhatt, who is celebrating her 2-month anniversary today. Little golf clap. She's a purpose student of centered sales and leadership coach and speaker with Southwestern Consulting, with over 100 clients, double their income in less than a year, increase their confidence, and have more time to spend with their families. With over 50 years of sales experience, she has been a top producer in every industry. Seema has extensive background in several industries, tech companies, to breweries, such as Steiner. Some of her establishing in less than a month, developing in 6 months. She is an expert with a focus on business development, time management, and retention. I want to speak here today.
Southwest. And we've coached over 20,000 people with one-on-one coaching since our inception. And we've coached people in all different industries. So what I'm going to be talking about today is proven techniques, proven pieces that actually work. It's not the Seema Bhatt show. It's not like, oh, I made this up. This has worked time and time again. And what we found was no matter what industry you're in, if we focus in on these areas and aspects of our business, you're going to flourish no matter what. And just with our clients, because they follow these practices and principles, they've increased their incomes, their time management skills, all kinds of things just by focusing in on these habits. So you'll see on your paper, there's like a triangle. And if you don't have a paper, you can make a triangle. And we call this the habits triangle. You can actually even rip this in half, but make a triangle like so. And there are certain aspects in the triangle. So the first piece is our skill set. And this could be on the sales side. It could be whatever business you're in, that skill set that we all need to get better in, right? I want you to write down for you, what's one area skill-wise in your business that you could be better in? What's one area that you could use a little help in or know that, hey, I could grow in? Because there's always something that we can be better in, right? So go ahead and write that down. And then the next piece is our motivation, right? We all have those seasons where it's like one day we're up here, the next day we're down here. You have that roller coaster of a business because you're kind of all over the place with your motivation and mindset. I would almost argue that this is one of the most important pieces in our business, especially being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. It can get very lonely. At times you have to motivate yourself. We all know people that might have been highly skilled, but for whatever reason, they're not motivated. Hopefully none of us in this room, right? And so really honing in on what is your goal? What is your bigger purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because we might have come here to make money, but really in the grand scheme of things, it's probably to provide for a family. It's probably for something bigger than just the paycheck. So really honing into that motivation piece is so important. as a business owner and as a top producing successful entrepreneur. And then the last area is our systems. Our systems can make or break us, right? So do you have a system for getting referrals? Do you have a system for your client retention? Do you have systems built into your business so that you're not constantly having to reinvent the wheel? That third piece is systems. And what holds it all together is the habits that we form. Because if we don't have good habits, everything falls apart. We see this in January, usually everybody's at the gym. And because we don't have the habit, not all of us, I would say sometimes I'm that person, but because we don't have the habit and focus, it's like again, you're kind of all over the place. But what's really important is that you're continuously focusing in on all three of these areas and having some accountability around it. Because accountability, I hate to say it, it's that other A word. A lot of us don't want it, but in order to hit that next level, you kind of need it. And so who's holding you accountable in your day-to-day? Who's holding you accountable in these areas? Making sure that you have that accountability piece is so key to creating the good habits that you're consistently working on day after day. And so as we're going through this, we call this the results, anatomy of a result. And these other three things are what we're looking at: our skills, our motivation, our systems, but this is really important. So with top entrepreneurs, top producers, they're always finding a way, not an excuse. Because right now, there's so many excuses we have. Oh, it's the economy. Oh, especially in real estate. It's up and down. If you're in mortgage, the rates are too high. If you're in insurance, same thing, right? We're going through an economic, whatever you want to call it, right? What's the biggest excuse that's holding you back? What's that little voice in your head that's telling you you can't? Or maybe it's that little voice that's like, you don't need to get up at 6 a.m. Just hit the snooze button. Anyone felt that way before? Yeah. So what's the biggest excuse that you've told yourself? And I want you to write it down, because if you don't know what that excuse is, it's really hard to overcome it. Go ahead and write down your biggest excuse.
Seema, you have a few more handouts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're good. Yeah. Oh, hey. Awesome. So they find a way, not an excuse. What's kind of crazy? So do you see the little guy on the little devil man? On your shoulder? We call this guy Mr. Mediocrity. And what is really crazy is that it's that little voice in your head, right? That we always hear constantly talking to us. I hope I'm not the only one that has a voice in my head. Maybe. But the crazy thing is that voice, we're so used to it telling us these things that we don't even realize it's there. We don't even realize when it's telling us what we can't do, because we're just so used to hearing it. And we've like kind of blurted out in a sense. But that voice is killer because it can keep us comfortable and not really pushing ourselves to that next level. So with top producers, it's not that they don't have excuses. In fact, a lot of the top entrepreneurs, they have a lot of excuses of why they can't do X, Y, Z. I don't have enough time. I don't have whatever, right? But that little voice, what they know to do is flick it off their shoulder, stomp on it, and know that if it's meant to be, it's up to me. They have their affirmations. They have their why. They have their purpose. So one thing that you can do with that excuse when you hear it is realize, okay, it's an excuse, and then look at what can I do better? How can I grow from this? Or what's my bigger purpose? And really hone into that vision, that long-term vision when those excuses pop up, because we all have them. The next thing is that they're students of their game. They're students of their game. How many of us have played sports or had kids that play sports? Probably, or maybe musical instruments. I was both. I did piano and guitar, and then also like field hockey and soccer. And if you have kids or maybe grandkids, brothers, sisters, when they're practicing sports, like on average, how much time are we playing that sport? Like you have your 2-a-days, you have your practice, you have like you do hours and hours of practice for like one 90-minute game that happens maybe once or twice a week. I don't know, depending on how competitive that sport is. Right? What if you told your coach, you know what, coach, I'm not going to practice, just put me in the game? Like the coach would probably be like, you can't. And if they even let you practice, how would that affect your game? Would it be like mediocre, right, at best? How many of us are doing that as professionals? It's kind of interesting. When we get to that professional level, we're not always practicing how we did when we were a kid in a sport. How many hours are you wasting or not focusing in on, remember, that skill set, the system, the motivation? So what is that costing you? And so with top producers, top entrepreneurs, they're always working to get better, whether they're going to conferences, the CME credits, but they're always doing something so that they're on top of their game, and they're always students of the game because they know that it's never over. Like we can always get better. And so, I love Jim Rohn where he said formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. How much are we investing in ourselves? Most top entrepreneurs, they do about 10% of their income in that self education as the years go on. So ask yourself, how much am I investing in myself, and where can I get better? What can I do in the meantime? And then the last piece is that they take action. They take action on the things that they know they need to do. So what I want you guys to do is rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And again, this is for your eyes only, not, you don't, unless you want to share it with your neighbor, go ahead, that accountability piece. But rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. So a 10 is someone who they know their schedule. They come in on Monday and they already have time blocked, what they're going to be doing. They also know the fires that are inevitably going to come up. So they have that in their schedule, and they can go to work, and they feel like, I have that to-do list, but I get done with it. Like I'm on top of the world. I'm on fire. That's a 10. They have it all together. And then a 1 is someone where you come in on Monday morning and you feel like a chicken with your head cut off, right? It's like, oh my gosh, there's all these emails, there's all these phone calls. Like, I don't know what's happening. You have the laundry list of things, but it just keeps on feeling like every single day you're just adding to that list, adding to that list, adding to that list. Anybody felt that way? Yeah. So that's a 1. And it's feeling like, man, I never can just get on top of it, right? We've all been there. So go ahead and rate yourself on that scale of 1 to 10. Thanks. Yes. And is there anybody here that's a 10? No, right? And that's okay. Like that's normal. But what is it costing you not being a 10 most days? For some of us, it's that income, right? You probably could make a lot of money in whatever industry you're in. But for others, it's costing us that early retirement, or it's costing us that trip to Bora Bora, or like instead of going on the staycation, although Colorado is great for it, but you can't go on the vacation that you wanted to, or you can't retire early, or you can't do the things that you want to do. And that's probably why you got into your business, for that freedom. And then for others, it's guilt, that guilty feeling you get when you're not hitting your full potential, or that guilty feeling where you feel like you're always working, even when you're with your family, your head is still at work and you're not present. So that's what not being a 10 on most days, that's what it's costing us. So what if you're like, okay, Seema, I want to do something. I want to take action. That's great. The number 1 killer of success is procrastination. And what's really interesting is we all have it in us. Unfortunately, it's just how we were wired. Well, procrastination, there's another form of it that if you're aware of it, it's really helpful because you can actually start to see yourself do that. So maybe you decide, okay, Seema, I'm going to, do some prospecting time from 3 to 5 p.m. I have my list of people, it's go time. So 3 o'clock rolls around. And then right then you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go get a glass of water. So you go and you get your glass of water. And then you come back and you're like, okay, it's 3-ish. Let me go get some coffee because it's, afternoon, after lunch, slug. Yeah. So you go and get your coffee. And then you're thinking, I probably should use the restroom really quickly. And of course, you take your phone with you because it's like attached at our hip. And then you're in the bathroom, you're scrolling through Facebook, you're scrolling through maybe Reddit, getting in subreddits. And then you come back out and you're like, oh, wow, it's already 3:15, 3:20. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm going to get started. And right when you're about to start making those phone calls, you hear a ding, ding. What is that? It's not the laundry. It's your email, right? And you're like, oh, I should probably check this email right now because there's probably a client that I need to get back to. And then the next thing you know, you look up at the clock and it's 4:30, 4:45. Like you got inundated in those emails. What happened? We didn't do anything, right? Yeah, that's what creative avoidance is. So it's very easy to feel like you're busy, right? You felt busy that day, but it's that feeling busy for busy's sake and not hitting in on the income producing activities. The IPA is not the beer, although I do like a good IPA. But your income producing activities, for most of us, they're going to be very similar. But these income producing activities, in case you're unsure of what they are, it's 99.9% only you can do it. And they're usually client facing. So somebody can say yes or no to work with you or give you a referral. So that would be an income producing activity, the money drivers. So if you don't know what those are, one thing that you can do is actually look through your day and identify what are the things that could drive my business. So if I had a client come in, could they say yes or no to work with me? That would be an income producing activity. Some of the other things that we might think are income producing activities, like answering an email, that can be done by someone else sometimes. I mean, not that you're going to have other people, do your emails, but grand scheme of things, you want to use your best assets for those clients and for the things that you're really good at, as opposed to doing everything. So outsourcing some things. So income producing activities are really important. This is an actual client of ours. And what was neat to see is their new loans is their income producing activity. It's a lender, but the family time, they have self-development time. They have date nights. Who here has been on a date night in a while? These are all important things to them. They're their family time. And it's not like it's not too crazy. They're still getting done by 5:30 for the most part. But they know what those income producing activities are, and then they can actually execute because they know exactly what they need to be focused on. And if a fire does come up, they know that this new loan time is the most important thing in their day. So that has to get completed. If it doesn't, it has to go in the next day and get done that week. So the last thing, which is another thing that's working against us, is this law of diminishing intent. So basically what that states is the longer you wait to do something, the less likely you're going to actually do it. And we see this all the time. Have you ever gone out with maybe a referral partner or somebody that could refer you business? Maybe it's a client. And you guys were getting along really well. Everything sounded like it was going great. And at the end of it, you said, hey, can you send me some business? Here's my business card, or here's a few of my business cards. Can you send me some business? If you're not constantly following up, what's the likelihood of you getting business from that person? Zero, right? Slim to none. How does it make you feel when you spent an hour or spent your time and there's nothing to show for it? Doesn't feel great, right? No. So if we hate it when people do that to us, why are we doing it to ourselves? Right? So that law of diminishing intent just states that whatever you need to do that you're probably avoiding, do that first, because the likelihood of you doing it later, it's not going to happen. Cool. So the good news is that we all are in control of these things because these are all controllables. So the nice thing is that we can always find a way and push past our excuses. We can always be a student of our game and then we can take action on the things that we know we need to do. So I want you guys to write down what are some of your goals for the rest of the year. So go ahead and write that down, because I want you guys to come away with at least some sort of action plan on what you want to focus on in the remainder of the month and for the year. Does anybody want to share their goal?
I'll share.
Okay.
So I have, to me, it's move-ins.
Mhm.
So like if I'm moving somebody
Yep.
successfully,
Mhm.
24 which would be 2 a month, would be my goal. Oh, hi. 24 would be my goal for the year. And then 36 new referral partners in addition to what I have. So 3 a month.
Yeah.
And then I really need to dedicate 3 hours per week to some personal development.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yay. I love it. That's awesome. Anyone else want to share? Okay. Don't be shy. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So when you're looking at your goals, and you did a great job of this, so I really have to commend you with it. With your goals, reverse engineering, like you said, I need to do 3 hours of development. I need to have 36 referral partners by the end of the year and your 24 new move-ins. So then make sure that your goal is specific like yours was. And very much when you're doing that, we have, we'll say 6 months now, like just fast forwarding to June. So then divide that number out by 6 so that you know exactly each month what you need to do. And whenever you're doing your goals, like making sure they're specific, they're measurable, and then they have a time range is really important as well. Because if they're kind of fluffy and not concrete, it's really hard to like hit that and know exactly what you need to do to get there. So then just looking through all the things that we talked about, oh, there's a moth. Looking through what we talked about with the skills, the systems, motivation, or the 3 habits, for your goal specifically, what area do you need to focus in on right now? What's the one thing that you can do right now to move that needle forward for your goal? And feel free to write it down for yourself.
For me, I need to stay good shape. I think it's so
Are you constantly bombarded with distractions? And
to some extent, yeah.
one thing that might be helpful too, if anybody's struggling to know what are their income producing activities or what should they be focusing on, it's a pain in the butt if you do it the wrong way, but it's called a time awareness log. It's kind of like a food journal, but with your time. So from when you wake up to when you go to bed, you just write down every hour you stop, just put an alarm clock for an hour, stop for 1 or 2 minutes, and write down what did you do and what distractions came in the way of that. So then as you're going through this, do it for a week to 2 weeks. I'd do about 2 weeks just because sometimes we have those weird weeks. So do a 2-week time journal. Then when you go back, take an assessment of what were all the distractions that were getting in the way. So that way you can prioritize. Like if you're noticing I'm getting a lot of phone calls that I'm picking up when I'm supposed to be doing this paperwork, know that maybe turn off my phone and not look at it for a while, or I need to have times where I'm checking my phone so that I'm not getting distracted and feeling like, oh, I have to pick up. So that time awareness log is super helpful. And then what you can do in the time awareness log is actually highlight the things that only you can do that make you money. Those would be your income producing activities. Cool. Awesome. So for the rest of us, what is one thing, and I'll just have us go around the room real quick. What is the one thing you're going to focus on, whether it's systems, motivation, one of these pieces? What is one thing you're going to focus on this week for your business?
We'll start down here.
10 outbound phone calls a day.
Love it.
5 site tours.
Oh, I
This
love
week.
it. Yes.
So
I'll do 5 compare market analysis a day and reach out to 5 past clients.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Circle of influence.
Well, no details, but I have to focus on motivation.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, that's good insight of if you're noticing I'm up and down. So I love it that at least you're focusing on that motivation. And then what I would suggest is just figuring out what does that mean to you? What motivates you? I have to dance before I dial because that gets me really happy. Like I literally have a dance party. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
Mine would be systems.
Mhm.
So like Juliana said, I just need to carve out time.
I love it.
Same systems. I need to like really schedule out my day and just really stick to that.
For the next 2 weeks for both of you guys, just even doing a calendar and maybe send it to each other as just a little accountability piece.
Mine would be just, I have my list of things that I need to do and focusing blocks of time
Yeah.
on single.
Yeah, that single
Items.
focus. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so easy, especially I think as women, to multitask because we're so good at it. But yeah, that single focus is so important.
I think the systems, I want to try your journal.
Yeah, the
I think
time
that
awareness
would be
journal.
cool.
It's
The time just flies by.
I know. So what I'll do with my calendar is anytime I don't do what I need to on my calendar, I actually put in my calendar what I did so that I can come back next week and assess like, oh, you said you were going to do this, but instead you got distracted and you were doing something else. How can we, troubleshoot that?
I just need to follow up and set up some meetings with some folks that are interested in our Chamber of Commerce.
Yay.
Scheduling and time blocking.
Yes. Awesome.
Remaining flexible.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
Well, the type of job that I do.
Okay, use the mic.
I think it's for the web people. Yeah.
Sorry about that. So the type of job that I do, there's always distractions,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the nature of what I do, and not getting upset with myself for not accomplishing what I need to accomplish, because what I'm being paid to do is far more important than the paperwork I need to do.
Right.
Paperwork will come, but the face-to-face with my residents are extremely important. And if they want to talk for 20 minutes, right, that's 20 minutes that I could have been doing something else, but that's 20 minutes that I get to interact with another human being and experience whatever it is they need to talk about.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me to remain flexible, but also in that field of excuses, there'll be time later. And which is procrastination.
Yeah.
I mean, just that's what it is. And, it's like this morning I woke up and I had no intention of coming here. And because I got home and my schedule was that I get home about midnight. So I woke up and I'm like, oh, this is here. Get your butt out of bed, drive the 20 miles and come here.
Oh, wow.
And so, because I've got other things I need to get done afterwards. And so it's that just engaging in my day, engaging in my life, and experiencing, not stressing about it. This is my life and I've got to enjoy it. No matter what, money needs to be happening, I still need to enjoy my life and enjoy what I'm doing. So it's really about staying flexible and not saying, okay, this, yes, this has to be done. It has to be done now. Block out that time But if I get distracted, it's kind of like that, I think it's that breathing, you know, you breathe in, breathe out. If your brain goes so this way, go, let it go. And just, and realize that it's not that important. It really isn't.
Yeah, no, that's great.
My communication with another human being is more important
Exactly.
than the, even though I got to still have to cross the, you know, do the I's and the T's and all of that. But it's not as important. It used to be. Used
Right.
to be a lot of importance. And so making that switch and being flexible and realizing I'm a human being and you know, I'm going to screw up. I'm going to do whatever. It's like, okay, let's move on. So
We're not robots. For me, it's going to be looking at what my benchmarks are and what it is that I want to accomplish, and then breaking down what that looks like to achieve on a daily, weekly, monthly level, to creating those micro habits to getting me to those successful goals that I want to hit.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for sharing. I know I voluntold you, but but I appreciate that. And last but not least, one thing with the scheduling, so with the distractions or like, oh, I talked to residents 20 more minutes. You can also put in, we call it fire time. So I'd also look in your day or your week and see how much time on average is getting away from things that you need to do. So how much time are you kind of wasting with the fires that need to be taken out, right? And then once you know, okay, let's say it's 5 hours a week, actually just put it in your schedule. Fire time, it can be anywhere in your schedule, but you kind of Tetris your schedule. So if fire time happened at 10 a.m., great. But if nothing happened there, then look at those income producing activities, do it during the fire time, and then move that down to wherever that other income producing activity is. So you get a little bit time back. Cool. Awesome. Well, so that's what I have for you today. Last but not least is just the power of perspective. And all of these people, they're great at what they've done, arguably, but all of them have somebody to help them see the fire through the trees and the forest between the trees, not the fires. And so they all have coaches. So I always say accountability is so important. So getting a coach is a good thing to do. And then for everybody at the chamber, I am, just for our chamber, I am doing a business action planning session that's normally $300, but I'm doing it complimentary. So if anybody wants that, just reach out to me. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. I do want to take a